a man is a killer.
Well,
I would like to know. Tell me what the facial characteristics of a killer are. Maybe you know something that I don't.
Look, what is there about the case that makes you think the boy's innocent?
He's 19 years old.
that's old enough. The kid knifed his own father 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 19-year-old murderer.
I agree with you that the boy's guilty, but I think we should try to avoid emotionally colored arguments.
All right, they proved it a dozen different ways. You want me to list them for you?
No.
Well, do you believe that stupid story he told?
Now.
Do you believe the boy's story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not so easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
Who says it's easy for me?
Or me.
No one.
He's still just as guilty, whether it's an easy vote or a hard one.
Is there something wrong because I voted fast?
Not necessarily.
Look, I think the boy's guilty. Gonna change my mind if he talked for 100 years.
I don't want to change your mind.
Then what do you want?
I want to talk for a while. Look, this boy's been kicked around all his life. You know, living in a slum, his mother dead since he was 9. It's not a very good head start. He's a tough, angry kid. You want to know why slum kids get that way? Because we knock them over the head once a day, every day. I think we owe them a few words. That's all.
All right, life's hard. It was hard for me. Everything I've got, I fought for. I worked my way through college. That was a long time ago, and perhaps you do forget. I fought, yes, but I never killed.
I know what tough luck's like. I never killed nobody either.
I've been kicked around too. Wait until you've worked in an ad agency and the guy that buys the advertising walks in.
In my country, in Europe, kicking was a science, but let's try to find something better than that. Look, I don't mind telling you this, mister. We don't owe the boy a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? Do you know what that trial cost? He's lucky he got one. Look, we're all grown-ups here, and you're not going to tell us that we're supposed to believe him, knowing what he is. I've lived among them my whole life. You can't believe a word they say. You know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible thing for someone to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? You have no monopoly on the truth.
All right, save it for Sunday. We don't need a sermon.
What this woman says is very dangerous.
I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we ought to behave like civilized people.
Right.
Oh, all right, if you insist.
Thank you.
Sure.
If we're going to discuss this case, why, let's discuss the facts.
I think that's a good point. We have a job here. Let's do it.
If you don't mind, I'm going to close the window now. It was blowing on my neck. Sorry,
If you don't mind, I'll have to have the window open.
but it was blowing on me.
Don't you want a little air? It's summer. It's hot.
I was very uncomfortable.
There are 12 of us in the room. It's the only window if you don't mind.
I have some rights too.
So do the rest of us.
Couldn't you trade chairs with someone at the other end of the table?
All right, I will open the window again if someone will trade.
Take my chair.
Thank you.
Shall we get back to the case?
Yes, let's.
I may have an idea here. I'm just thinking out loud now, but it seems to me that it's up to us to convince this guy that we're right and he's wrong. Maybe if we each talk for a minute or two, try it on for size.
That sounds fair enough.
Very fair.
Supposing we go once around the table.
All right, let's start it off.
All right, I guess we'll start with you.
Oh, well, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious.
In what way was it obvious?
I mean that nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The defendant doesn't even have to open his mouth. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. That's in the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment. You've heard of it.
Everyone has.
Well, sure, I've heard of it. I know what it is. Just, what I meant, anyway, I just think he's guilty.
No reasons, just guilty. There is a life at stake here.
Okay, let's get to the facts. Number 1, let's take that old man who lives on the floor right underneath the room where the murder took place. At 10 minutes after 12, on the night of the killing, he heard loud noises in the upstairs apartment. He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the boy say to his father, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, he saw the boy running downstairs and out of the house. Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Now, what else do you want?
Doesn't seem to fit.
The boy's whole story is flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies. That's a little ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember what movie he saw.
You're right. You are absolutely right. Listen to this lady. She knows what she's talking about.
He didn't have a ticket stub.
Who keeps a ticket stub at the movies?
That's true enough.
I guess, but the cashier didn't remember him.
And the ticket taker didn't either.
Look, what about the woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, then nothing will.
That's right. She saw the killing, didn't she?
People, let's go in order.
Just a minute. Here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep. It's hot, you know? Anyway, she wakes up and looks through the window, across the L tracks, and she sees the boy knife his father.
How can she really be sure it was the boy she saw through the windows of a passing elevated train?
She's known the boy his whole life. His window is right opposite of hers, across the L tracks, and she swore she saw him do it.
I heard her swear to it.
Okay, and they proved in court that you can look through the windows of a passing L train at night and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
Weren't you just telling us a minute or two ago that you can't believe them, that you can't trust them?
So?
Then I'd like to ask you something. How come you believed her? She's one of them, too, isn't she?
You're a pretty smart fella, aren't you?
Now take it easy.
Come on now. What are you letting him get you all upset for? Sit down. Relax.
They did take us out to that woman's room, and we did look through the windows of the passing L train, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And weren't you able to see what happened on the other side?
I didn't see as well as they told me I would see, but I did see what happened on the other side.
You see? You do see, don't you?
Let's calm down now. It's your turn.
I'll pass.
That's your privilege. How about you?
I don't know. What convinced me was the testimony of the people across the hall. Didn't they say something about a fight between the father and the boy around 7 o'clock at night? I mean, I can't be wrong.
I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock.
They heard the father hit the boy twice and then saw the boy walk angrily out of the house.
Right.
What does that prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Anything else?
No.
I don't know. Most have been said already. We can talk all night about this thing, but I think we'd just be wasting our time.
I don't.
Neither do I. Go on.
Look at the kid's record. He stole a car, he's been arrested for a mugging, and I think they said he stabbed somebody in the arm.
They did.
He was picked up for knife fighting, and at 15, he was in reform school.
And they put him in reform school for stabbing someone.
Oh, this is a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fists.
So would I, and a kid like that.
You're right. It's the kids. I've got a boy. When he was 8 years old, he ran from a fight. I was so ashamed. I told him right there, I'll make a man out of you if I have to bust you up into little pieces trying. Then, when he was 15, he hit me. He's a big kid, you know. Haven't seen him in 2 years. Maybe I'm better off. I hate tough kids. You work your heart out and then... All right, let's get on with it.
We're missing the point here. This boy. Let's admit he's a product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to go into the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. I know it, and so do you. The children who come out of slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it right there. I don't want any part of that. Believe me.
I've lived in a slum my whole life.
Now wait a minute.
I used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells on me.
Now let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal.
There is something personal.
Calm down now. She didn't mean you. Let's not get so sensitive.
Who did she mean?
I can understand the sensitivity.
Now let's stop the bickering.
We're wasting time.
It's your turn.
All right. I had a peculiar feeling about this case. Somehow I felt that the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. Too many questions were left unasked.
Well, it doesn't change my opinion on the guilt of the boy. Still, I agree with you that the defense counsel was bad.
So,
This is a point.
what about the facts?
So many questions were never answered.
What about the questions that were answered? For instance, let's take that cute little switchblade that fine, upright boy admitted buying.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's bring it in here and look at it again. I'd like to see it again. Madam Foreman?
We looked at the thing once already. I don't see why we have to look at it again. What do you think?
The man has a right to see exhibits and evidence.
Fine by me.
This knife is a pretty strong piece of evidence. Don't you agree?
I do.
Now let's get the sequence of events right as they relate to the switchblade.
The boy admits going out of his house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched.
Or punched. The boy went to the neighborhood store and bought the switchblade, and the storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted selling it to the boy.
I think everyone agrees it's a pretty unusual knife. Hard to forget something like that.
The storekeeper said it was the only one of its kind he had in stock. Why did the boy get it?
As a present for a friend, he says.
Am I right so far?
Right.
Next, the boy claims that on the way home, the knife must have fallen through a hole in his coat pocket. Says he never saw it again. Now there's a story. You know what actually happened? The boy took the knife home and stabbed his father with it, and even remembered to wipe off the fingerprints. Everyone connected with this case identified with this knife. Now, are you trying to tell me that someone went up to the boy's house and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No. I'm saying that it's possible that the boy lost the knife and that somebody else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Take a look at this knife. It's a very strange knife. I've never seen one like it before in my life. Neither had the storekeeper who sold it. Aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept anything. I'm just saying it's possible.
I'm saying it's not possible. What are you trying to do?
Yeah, what is
Look at it. It's the same knife.
Quiet. Let's be quiet.
Where did you get it?
I got a little junk shop around the boy's house. Cost $2.
Now listen to me.
I'm listening.
You pulled a pretty cute little trick here. So there are 10 knives like that. So what?
Maybe there are.
You proved absolute zero. The boy lied and you know it.
And maybe he didn't lie. Maybe he did lose the knife. Maybe he did go to the movies. Maybe the reason the cashier didn't recognize him is because he snuck into the movies and was too ashamed to say so. Is there anybody here who never snuck into the movies once or twice when they were young?
I didn't.
Really? Not even once?
We didn't have movies.
Oh.
Maybe he went to the movies, maybe he didn't. And he may have lied. Do you think he lied?
Now that's a stupid question. Sure, he lied.
Do you think he lied?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer. He lied.
Do you?
I don't know.
Now, wait a minute. Who are you, the guy's lawyer? Listen, there's still 11 of us who think he's guilty. You're alone. What do you think you're going to accomplish? If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, he'll be tried again and found guilty as sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
So what are you going to do about it? We can spend all night talking about this thing.
It's only one night. A man may die.
I know, come on.
Well, yes, that is true.
I think we ought to get on with it now.
Yes.
How do you like this guy?
You're the one holding up the show. What do you think?
Obviously, you don't think the boy's guilty.
I have a doubt in my mind.
But you haven't really presented anything to us to make it possible for us to understand your doubt. There's the old man downstairs. He heard it. He heard the boy shriek it out.
The woman across the L tracks, she saw it.
We know about a switchblade that night, but we don't know where he was. At the movies?
Earlier that night, the boy and his father did have a fight.
He's been a violent boy all the way. And, well, that doesn't prove anything.
Still, you know.
I have a proposition to make. I want to call for a vote. You 11 will vote by secret ballot. I'll abstain. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, I won't stand alone. I'm taking a guilty verdict right now.
That sounds fair enough. Is everyone agreed?
I certainly am.
Yeah, let's vote.
Guilty? 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 Guilty?
That's 6.
Please, the vote is 6-6. Guilty? 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 Not guilty. And guilty.
Are you serious?
Who was it? I think we have a right to know.
All right, who was it? What idiot changed their vote?
Is that the way to talk about a man's life?
Whose life are you talking about? The life of a dead man or the life of a murderer?
I want to know who.
I want to know too.
Excuse me, this was a secret ballot.
No one looked while we did it, but now I want to know.
Secret ballot. We all agreed on this point, no? If the person wants it to remain a secret, then...
What do you mean? There are no secrets in here. I know who it was. What's wrong with you? You come in here and you vote guilty, and then this sleek preacher starts talking about slums and injustice, and you change your vote. If that isn't the most sickening...
Now hold it.
I agree with you that the boy's guilty, but let's be fair.
Hold it, be fair, that is just what I'm talking about. We are trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs, and all of a sudden, we're paying attention to fairy tales.
Now, just a minute.
Now you listen to me!
Try to keep this organized.
It isn't organized, but let's be civilized.
Oh, please. I have something I want to say here. I have always thought that a person was entitled to have unpopular opinions in this country. That's why I came here. I wanted to have the right to disagree.
Well, do you disagree with us?
Usually I would. But in this one case, I do agree with you. But the point I wish to make is that in my own country, I am ashamed to say that...
Oh, now what do we have to do? Hear about the whole history of your country?
It's always wise to bear in mind what happens in other countries when people aren't allowed to disagree. But we are. So let's stick to the subject.
Yeah, let's stick to the subject. I want to ask you, what made you change your vote?
I want to know too. You still haven't told us.
Why do you think I'm the one who changed my vote?
Because I do. Now get on with it.
There's nothing for her to tell you. She didn't change her vote. I did.
I was gonna tell you, but you were so sure of yourself.
Sorry. Okay.
Maybe
now,
you'd like to know why.
let me tell you why that boy is
A
a...
man wants to talk.
Thank you. This man chose not to stand alone against us. That is his right. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even if you believe in something very strongly. He left the verdict up to us. He gambled for support, and I gave it to him. I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2.
That's fine. If the speech is over, let's move on.
If there was anything in the boy's favor, I'd vote not guilty.
I don't see what it is.
Neither do I. They're clutching at straws.
As guilty as they get, that's the boy, I suppose.
It's that one juror that's holding out. But he'll come around. He's got to. And fundamentally, he's a very reasonable person.
I guess so.
They haven't come up with one real fact yet to back up a not guilty verdict.
It's hard, you know?
Yes, it is. And what does guilty beyond a reasonable doubt even mean?
What's a reasonable doubt?
Exactly. When a life is at stake, what is a reasonable doubt? You've got to have law and order. You've got to draw the line somewhere. If not, everyone would start stabbing people.
Not much doubt here.
2 jurors think so. I wonder why. I really wonder why.
You do hear stories of innocent people who have gone to jail or death sometimes, and then years later, things turn out.
And then on the other hand, some murderers get turned loose and they go and do it again. They squeeze out on some technicality and they kill again.
Hey, look, hon. Now that we've all kind of cooled off, I was just a bit excited a minute ago. You know how it is. No hard feelings.
Sure.
Look, suppose the answer to me this. If the kid didn't kill him, who did?
As far as I'm concerned, we're supposed to figure out whether or not the boy on trial is guilty. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here.
I suppose, but who else had the motive?
The kid's father was along in years. Maybe an old grudge.
Remember, it is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This is a very important thing to remember.
Everyone's a lawyer. Supposing you tell us what your reasonable doubts are.
This is not easy. So far, it's only a feeling I have. A feeling. Perhaps you don't understand.
No, I don't.
A feeling? What are we supposed to do? Spend all night talking about our feelings? What about the facts?
You took the words right out of my mouth. Look, the old man heard the boy yell, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, he heard the father's body falling and he saw the boy running out of the house 15 seconds after that.
Where's the reasonable doubt in that?
That's right. And let's not forget the woman across the street. She looked into the open window and saw the boy stab his father. She saw it.
Right, now if that's not enough for you...
It's not enough for me.
What is enough for you? I'd like to know.
How do you like this guy? It's like talking to a brick wall.
The moving elevated train had 5 cars. The woman saw the killing through the last 2. She remembers the most insignificant details.
Well, what do you think about that?
I don't know. Doesn't seem to fit.
Well, supposing you think about it. Lend me a pencil. Let's play a game of tic-tac-toe. Might as well pass the time.
This isn't a game.
Hey, now wait a minute.
This is a man's life.
All right, let's take it easy.
I have a right mind to walk around this table and smack him.
Now, please, I don't want any more fights in here.
Did you see him? The nerve, the absolute nerve.
All right, forget it. It don't mean anything.
How about sitting down?
This isn't a game. Who does he think he is?
Weren't we talking about elevated trains?
Yes, we were.
So?
All right, answer me this. About how long would it take for an L train going at top speed to pass a given point?
What has that got to do with anything?
How long would it take? Guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Neither would I.
I don't think they mentioned it.
What do you think?
10 or 12 seconds, maybe?
I'd say that was a fair guess. Anyone else?
I would say about 10 seconds, perhaps? About 10 seconds, yes.
All right, we're agreed. 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. Now that given point is the window of the room in which the killing took place. You can almost reach out of the window and touch the L, right?
That's right, I tried it.
So?
All right, answer me this. Who here lives by the L tracks?
I live close to them,
Make a lot of noise, don't they?
I guess.
I live right by the L tracks. When your window is open and the train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can't even hear yourself think.
Can't hear yourself think. Get to the point.
The old man heard the boy say,
He didn't say it, he screamed it.
the old man heard the boy scream, "I'm gonna kill you." And then 1 second later, he heard a body fall. 1 second. That's the testimony, right?
Right.
The woman across the street saw the killing through the last two cars of the L train, right?
Right.
So?
The last two cars. The last two cars?
What are you giving us here?
An L train takes about 10 seconds to pass a given point, or 2 seconds per car. Now that L had been going by the old man's house for at least 6 seconds before the body fell, according to the woman. The old man would have had to hear the boy say, "I'm gonna kill you," or the front of the L was roaring past his nose. It's not possible that he could have heard it.
What do you mean? Sure, he could have heard it.
With an L train going by,
He said the boy screamed it out.
L trains make a lot of noise.
It's enough for me.
It's enough for me, too.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe the old man didn't hear it. I mean, with the L noise?
That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard.
Something doesn't fit.
Well, it stands to reason.
What are you talking about? Are you calling the old man a liar? Why would he lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe?
You keep coming up with all these bright sayings. Why don't you go tweet about it?
Now, what does that have to do with a man's life? Why might the old man might have lied? You have a right to be heard.
It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was split under his arm. Did you notice that? This was a very old man with a torn jacket that carried 2 canes. I think I know him better than anyone here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant man who has been nothing all of his life, who has never had recognition, his name in the news. Nobody knows him after 75 years. This is a very sad thing. A man like this needs to be recognized, to be questioned, listened to, and quoted just once. This is very important.
And you're trying to tell us he lied about a thing like this just so he could be important?
Well, he wouldn't really lie, but rather he would make himself believe that he heard those words and that he recognized the boy's face.
Well, if that isn't the most fantastic story I've ever heard, how could you make up a thing like that?
I'm not making it up.
You have to be. People don't lie about things like that.
He made himself believe he told the truth.
What do you know about it?
I speak from experience.
What?
I am the same man.
I think we all understand now. Thank you.
If he wants to admit he's a liar, it's fine by me.
Now that is too much.
What? He is a liar. He just told us so.
He did not say he was a liar. He was explaining.
You just told us you were a liar, right?
Please. He was explaining the situation so that we could better understand why the old man might have lied. There is a difference.
A liar's a liar, and that's all there is to it.
Please, have some compassion.
People, please, we have our job and our duty here.
I think they've covered it.
I hope we have.
Is there anything else?
Tic Tac?
No, thank you.
Anybody want a Tic Tac?
Come on, let's get on with it.
I'll take one. Thank you. Now, I think we can all agree that the old man couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm gonna kill you."
I disagree.
Let's hear him through anyway.
But this phrase, about how many times have each of you used it? Probably hundreds. If you do that once more, Junior, I'm gonna murder you. Come on, Rocky, kill him. We say it every day. It doesn't mean that we're actually going to kill somebody.
Don't the circumstances alter that somewhat?
The old man was murdered.
One thing more. The phrase was, "I'm going to kill you," and they said the boy screamed it out.
That's the way I understand it.
Now, don't tell me he didn't mean it. Someone says something like that, the way he said it, they mean it.
How they mean it.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you really think the boy would yell it out so the whole neighborhood could hear it? I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Right? He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good English.
The boy is clever enough
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
The vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
I'd like to know why you've changed your vote.
Well, I think there's a doubt.
Where? Where is the doubt?
There's the knife.
Oh, fine.
He talked you into believing a fairy tale.
Go on. Give us the reasons.
The old man, too. Maybe he did lie. Maybe he didn't lie. Maybe the old man didn't like the boy.
Well, if that isn't the end,
I believe there is reasonable doubt.
what are you basing it on? Stories that this guy made up? He had to write for Criminal Minds. He'd make a fortune. Listen, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? Why didn't the lawyer bring up these points?
Lawyers can't think of everything.
Oh, brother, you sit here and pull stories out of thin air, and now we're supposed to believe that the old man didn't get out of bed, run to the door, and see the kid beat it downstairs 15 seconds after the killing?
That's the testimony, I believe.
And the old man swore to this. Yes, he swore to this, only so it can be important.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, what's the difference? He got there.
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he could run.
He said he went. I remember it now. He went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Where was his bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere.
Down the hall? Are we to send a man off to die because it's down the hall somewhere?
I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No, I don't.
I don't remember either.
Madam Foreman, I'd like to take a look at the diagram of the apartment.
Why don't we have them run the trial over again, just so you can get everything straight?
The bedroom is down the hall somewhere. Do you know exactly where it is? Please. A man's life is at stake. Do you know?
Well,
Madam Foreman.
I heard you.
All right, what's this one for? How come you're the only one who wants to see exhibits all the time?
Yeah, I want to see this one too.
So do I.
And I want to stop wasting time.
Are we going to start wading through all this nonsense about where the body was found?
Or not. We're going to find out how a man who's had 2 strokes in the past 3 years and who walks with a pair of canes could get to his front door in 15 seconds.
You said 20.
He said 15.
15, 20. You can't judge a person on something like that.
He said 15. He was very positive about it.
He's an old man. Half the time he was confused. How could he be certain about anything? Well, you know?
No, I don't know. Maybe you know.
Is this what you wanted? That's right, thank you. Yep, sure thing.
do me a favor. Wake me up when this is over.
I looked at that diagram for 2 hours. Enough is enough.
Some of us are interested. Go ahead.
All right. This is the apartment in which the killing took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath it and exactly the same. Here are the L tracks, a bedroom, another bedroom, living room, dining room, kitchen, the bathroom, and here's the hall, and there are the steps. Now, the old man was in this room when the murder took place. Says he got up, went out to his bedroom door, went down the hall, and saw the boy racing down the stairs. Am I right?
That's the story.
That's what happened.
15 seconds after he heard a body fall.
Correct?
His bedroom was at the window. The length from his bedroom, from his door, it's about 12 feet. The length of the hall is 43 feet 6 inches. That means he had to get up, out of bed, grab his canes, walk 12 feet, open the door, walk 43 feet 6 inches, all in 15 seconds. Do you really think this is possible?
You know it's possible.
I don't see why not.
He would have been in a hurry. He did hear the scream.
Well, the old man could only walk very slowly. They had to help him into the witness chair, remember?
You make it seem like it's a long walk. It's not.
For an old man who uses canes, it's a long walk.
What are you doing?
I want to try this thing. Let's see how long it took him. I'm going to pace off 12 feet, the length of the bedroom.
You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
Oh, perhaps if we could see it. This is an important point.
It's a ridiculous waste of time.
Let him do it.
I don't see any harm in it. Foolish, but go ahead.
Hand me a chair, please. All right. This is the bedroom door. About how far would you say it is from here to the door of this room?
I say about 20 feet.
Just about.
20 feet is close enough. So from here and back is about 40 feet. That's a little bit less than the length of the hall that the old man had to walk through, wouldn't you say?
A few feet, maybe.
Look, this is absolutely insane. What makes you think you can do this?
We can't stop him.
Do you mind if I try it? According to you, only take 15 seconds. We can spare that. Who's got to watch with the second hand?
I have.
May I?
Sure.
Stamp your foot when you want me to start. That'll be the sound of the body falling.
We'll time you from there.
Let's say he keeps his canes at his bedside, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm waiting for the hand to be at 60.
Speed it up. He walked twice as fast as that.
Well, this is, I think, even more quickly than the old man walked in the courtroom.
No, it's not.
If you think I should go faster, I will.
Speed it up a little.
Stop.
Right.
What's the time?
15, 20, 30, 35, 39 seconds exactly.
Hey, now wait a minute.
Oh, 39 seconds.
Now that's interesting.
Hey, now,
What do you think of that?
39 seconds. 39.
And the old man swore on his oath that it was 15 seconds.
Well, you may have been a little off on the speed that the old man moved at the courtroom, but, well, 24 seconds off. Now we know.
Far be it for me to call anyone a liar. But even allowing for quite a difference in speed between the old man and you, why, still there's quite a
discrepancy.
It's my guess that the old man heard someone racing down the stairs and assumed that it was the boy.
I think that's possible.
Assumed? Now listen to me, everyone. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my life, but this little display takes the cake.
What dishonesty?
Tell him! You come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about slums and injustice, and you make up all these sob stories, and you got a couple of soft-hearted snowflakes listening to you. Well, I'm not. I'm sick of it. What's wrong with you people? This boy is guilty. He has got to burn. We are letting him slip through our fingertips.
Our fingers? Are you his executioner?
I'm one of them.
And perhaps you'd like to pull the switch.
For this good for nothing, you bet I'd like to pull the switch.
I'm sorry for you.
Oh, don't start with me.
What it must feel like to want to pull the switch.
Shut up.
You're a sadist.
Shut up.
You want to see this boy die because you personally want it, not because of the facts. You're a beast. You disgust
Will
me.
you shut up? Hey, let me go. I'll kill him. I'll kill him.
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
That's the end of Act 2. We will now be having a 15-minute intermission.
A, B, C, D.
Okay, I'm gonna.
A, B, C, D,
Keep going.
E, F, G, H.
Okay. Just a quick reminder, there will be a DVD being made of tonight's performance. There is a sign-up sheet outside. We do collect the money. They're $10. If you're interested in one of those, someone will be out at the table. Thank you, and enjoy Act 3.
Is there something wrong? I heard a noise.
No, there's nothing wrong. You can take that back. We're finished with it.
What are y'all looking at?
I don't see why we have to behave like children.
Nor do I. We have a responsibility. This is the remarkable thing about democracy, that we are notified by mail to come down to a certain place and decide on the guilt or innocence of a person, of a man or a woman that we have not known before. This is one of the reasons why we are strong. We have nothing else to gain or lose by our verdicts. We should not make it a personal thing.
Thank you very much.
Why do you thank me?
We forget. It's good to be reminded.
I'm glad we're going to be civilized about this.
Well, we're still nowhere.
No, we're somewhere. We're getting there. Maybe.
Maybe.
Who's got an idea?
I think we should try to vote. Madam Foreman?
It's all right with me. Anybody doesn't want to vote?
Let's vote.
Yes, vote.
Yeah, let's vote. I want to call out our votes out loud. I want to see who's where.
That sounds fair. Is anyone object? All right, I'll call off your jury numbers. I vote guilty. 2,
Not guilty.
3,
Guilty.
4,
Guilty.
5,
Not guilty.
6,
Not guilty.
7,
Guilty.
8,
Not guilty.
9,
Not guilty.
10,
Guilty.
11,
Not guilty.
and 12.
Guilty.
That's 6-6.
Let me tell you something. There's a crime being committed in this room.
The vote is 6-6.
I'm ready to walk into that courtroom right now and declare a hung jury. There is no need in going on like this.
I'd like to know why you've changed your vote, and why you did, and why you changed your vote. There are 6 jurors here who think that we're turning a murderer loose on the streets. Emotion won't do. Why?
It was saying that the old man didn't see the boy run downstairs. I don't think it's likely that the old man heard someone scream, "I'm going to kill you." Old man screamed, and if the boy did scream he was going to kill, then we have the authority of this person to prove that it might not mean he's going to kill.
Why don't we just take it to the judge and let the kid take his chances with 12 other jurors?
6-6. I don't think we'll ever agree on anything.
It's got to be unanimous, and we'll never convince him.
At first, I was alone. Now 5 others agree. There is a doubt.
You can't ever convince me that there is a doubt, because I know that there isn't no doubt.
I'll tell you what. Maybe we are a hung jury. It happens sometimes.
We are not going to be a hung jury.
But we are, right now. A perfect balance. Let's take it to the judge.
If there is a reasonable doubt, I don't see it.
The doubt is there in my mind.
Maybe we should vote.
What do you mean, vote?
Not again.
Vote on what? Are we or aren't we a hung jury?
You mean that we vote yes, we are a hung jury, or no, we are not a hung jury?
It's just what I was thinking.
I'm not sure whether we could agree if we're a hung jury or not.
We can't even agree about whether or not we should have the window open.
Let's make it a majority vote. The majority wins.
If 7 or more of us vote yes, then we go in and tell the judge that we're a hung jury.
Right. And if 7 or more vote no, that means we aren't a hung jury and we go on discussing it.
It seems right to me.
I agree. It's the only way.
Anything to end this.
Are we agreed then? 7 or more votes yes, and we take it to the judge. All right, I vote yes, we're a hung jury. 2,
No.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
No.
6,
No.
7,
Yes.
8,
No.
9,
No.
10,
Yes.
11,
No.
and 12.
Yes.
Oh, no.
It's 6 to 6.
We can't even get a majority to decide whether or not we're a hung jury.
I went along with the majority vote on this question. I didn't agree with voting that way, not really, and I still don't. So I'm changing my vote to no. We are not a hung jury. I believe the boy is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, but there are some things that I want to hear from others who change their minds.
Then we aren't a hung jury, so we go on discussing it.
Good. We go on.
Why did you change your mind?
He seems so sure and has made a number of good points, while she only gets angry and insults everybody.
Does the anger and the insult change the guilt of the boy? He did do it. Are you going to turn a murderer loose on the streets just because one of the jurors becomes angry when she thinks a murderer is being turned loose?
That's true. There is a doubt.
I don't think so. The track is straight in front of the window. Let's take that point. So the L train would have made a low rumbling noise. L trains screech when they go around curves, so the old man could have heard a scream, which is high-pitched, and it is a tenement, and they have thin walls.
Good. Good. That's right.
And what if the old man was wrong about the time it took him to get to the door, but right about whom he saw? Please remember that it is summer and gloves seem unlikely.
You are right. You are absolutely right.
And it might have taken a few seconds to get a handkerchief out and wipe the fingerprints away.
Let's time this one just to see.
What are we timing?
Yes, let's be exact, please.
I'm saying that the old man downstairs might have been wrong about how long it took him to get to the door, but that he was right about whom he saw running down the stairs. Now, it may have taken the murderer about 35 seconds to wipe all the fingerprints away and get down the stairs to the place where the old man saw him. The boy, that is.
This is right.
We reconstructed the old man getting out of bed and going to the door, and we timed that. Now let's reconstruct the actual crime.
As well as we can reconstruct it.
Here. You do the stabbing.
No, I'll do it.
How about you be the person who dies? And remember, it takes you 1 second to fall.
And he was found on his right side. His right side. So fall and roll onto your right side. If another person hates someone enough to kill them, don't you think that they would look at their victim for a second or two?
Try to divorce yourself from this particular case. Just human nature.
Yes, it seems reasonable.
Hey, wait a minute. The kid stabs him and he falls. The father, that is. But stabbing someone isn't like shooting them, even when it's right in the heart. The father would have rolled around a bit, writhing maybe.
That's quite possible. There would have been enough oxygen in his system to carry him for a second or two, I should think.
Well, wouldn't the father have cried out?
Maybe the boy held his mouth.
That also seems possible.
Also, there's another point we might bring out. Anyone who's clear enough mentally to wipe fingerprints away after murdering someone, well, that person is also clear enough mentally to look around the apartment, or the room in this case, to make sure that there weren't any clues. It would just be for a second or two, I should think.
This just keeps getting better and better.
We're trying to make it clear. One doesn't talk about quality when murder's involved.
About this on the fingerprints. The boy wiped the fingerprints off the knife with a handkerchief. Well, what about the doorknob? If I saw a man coming into my home, a man that hated me, and if he was wiping the doorknob with a handkerchief as he came in, I'd start screaming. So he must have wiped the doorknob after the killing, and this too would take some time.
You time the last one. Why don't you time this one too?
All right.
Stamp your foot when you want me to start.
I want the hand to be at 60.
I'm going to kill you. He would have wiped both knobs. Stop.
20, 20, 25, 29, about 29 and a half seconds, I'd say.
And whoever did murder the old man, and I think it was the boy, still had to run downstairs, at least one flight of stairs.
You see?
The old man downstairs may have been wrong on the time, but in view of this, I think it's quite reasonable to assume that he did see the boy run downstairs.
So now both time sequences check. The one that you did and the one that we did. What with running downstairs and everything, it does pretty much check out on times.
Sure, he's an old man who wants attention. He's probably right. But the old man feels the way everyone does. A life is at stake.
So the story of the old man may well be true.
Except for the fact that the old man absolutely swore, under oath, that it was only 15 seconds.
And we seem to all agree that it was about 25 to 40 seconds later.
You are now saying that the old man lied in one case and then told the truth in the other. I do admit that this does tend to confirm the story of the old man, but he is now a proven liar, and this is by your own admission.
It may be true that the old man lies in part, but I think it'll change my vote once more. Guilty.
What about you? What do you think?
I'm not sure what I think. I want to talk some more. At first, I thought guilty. Then I changed. Now I'm sort of swinging back to guilty.
And you?
No, I am in real doubt now. Real doubt.
I say guilty. I was right the first time.
Now we're beginning to make sense in here.
It seems to be about 9 guilty to 3 not guilty.
One more question about the old man downstairs. How many of you live in apartment buildings?
I don't know what you're thinking, but I know what I'm thinking.
What's that?
Well, I do not live in an apartment building, but it is close, and there is just enough light in the hall that you can see the end of the stairs. No more. The light is so small, but you remember how we stumbled on the steps, right?
The police officers were using big bulbs, and one even had a flashlight, remember?
Yes, well, an old man who misjudged the time by 24 seconds. On this we all agree. This old man looked down the dark hallway and noticed a running figure.
He was 100% wrong about the time it took him. It took twice as long as he thought.
Well then, could not the old man be 100% wrong about who he saw?
That's the most idiotic thing I have ever heard. You're making that up out of thin air.
We're a hung jury. Let's be honest about it.
Do you truly feel that there is no room for reasonable doubt?
Yes, I do.
Well, I beg your pardon, but perhaps you don't understand the term reasonable doubt.
What do you mean I don't understand it? Who are you to talk to me like that? How do you like this lady? She comes to this country, running for her life, and suddenly she's telling us how to run the show. The arrogance of her.
No one is asking where anyone came from.
I was born right here.
Or where your grandmother came from.
Maybe it wouldn't hurt us to take a few tips from people who come running here. Maybe they know something that we don't. We're not so perfect.
Please, it's all right. I am used to this, but thank you.
It's not all right.
Okay, I apologize. Is that what she wants?
That's what I want.
All right, now let's stop the arguing. Who's got something constructive to say?
Well, something's been bothering me a little. This whole business about the stab wound and how it was made, the downward angle of it, you know?
Don't tell me we're starting on that again. They went over it in court.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. See, the boy is 5 feet 8 inches tall. The father was 6 feet 2 inches tall. That's a difference of 6 inches. It's a very awkward thing to stab down into the chest of someone who's half a foot taller than you are.
Look, you're not going to be satisfied until you see it for yourself. I'll give you a demonstration. Somebody stand up. Okay, now I want you to pay close attention. I'm only going to do this once. That about 6 inches.
That's more than 6 inches.
Let it be more.
Look out! Not funny! What is the matter with you?
Look, no one's hurt, are they?
No, nobody's hurt.
There's your angle. Down and in. That's how I'd stab a taller person, and that's how it was done. Now look at that, and tell me I'm wrong.
Down and in. I guess there's no argument.
Did you ever stab a man?
Of course not.
Did you?
Now let's not be silly.
Did you?
No,
Where do you get all your information on how it's done?
I don't know. It's just common sense.
Have you ever seen a man stabbed?
No.
All right, I'd like to ask you something. The boy was an experienced knife fighter. He was even sent to the reform school for knifing someone. Isn't that so?
That's right.
Take a look at this. Doesn't it seem like an awkward way to handle a knife?
What are you asking me for?
Wait a minute. Give me the knife.
Have you ever seen a man stabbed?
Yes, I have.
In the movies?
In my backyard. On my front porch. In the vacant lot across the street. Switchblades came with the neighborhood where I lived. It's funny I didn't think of it before. Anyway, anyone who's ever used a switchblade before would never stab downwards. It's awkward. They would go underhand, like this.
Then he couldn't have made the kind of wound that killed his father.
I suppose it's conceivable the boy could have made the wound, but it's not likely. Not if the boy had any experience with switchblades. And we all know he had experience.
I don't believe it.
Neither do I. You're giving us a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
What do you think?
Well, I don't know.
What about you?
Listen, I'm a little sick of this whole thing already. We're hitting Nora fast. Let's just break it up and go home.
Before we decide anything more, I'd like to pull this whole thing together.
This should be good.
He has a right. Let him go ahead.
You want me to time this one too?
Let's hear him.
I'm in advertising. I love to see things fall together. Makes for good layouts. Let's try to look at the whole picture to see if some kind of pattern is there. Maybe we could try getting a fresh point of view.
Now, I want you all to look at this both logically and consistently.
We have guilty.
I want to know, is the kid smart or is the kid dumb?
What do you mean?
This is a boy who has been sent to the reform school for knife fighting. The night of the murder, he bought a knife, a switchblade. It would then take a very stupid kid to then go murder a man, his father, with an instrument that everyone would associate with the kid.
I quite agree. He's dumb.
However, if he were dumb, then why would he make the kind of wound that an inexperienced man would make?
I'm not sure I understand.
To murder someone must take a great emotion, great hatred. And at that moment, the boy would handle the knife as best as he could. And a trained knife fighter would handle it as best as they could. Underhand. Someone who had not had experience with knives would go overhand. But the kid is being very smart. Everyone knows he's an experienced knife fighter, which is why he's making the type of wound that would lead us to believe an amateur would make it. That man is a smart man, smart enough even to wipe away the fingerprints and smart enough even to wait until an L train was going by in order to cover the noise. Now, is the kid smart or is the kid dumb?
Hey, now, wait a minute.
Well, the woman across the track saw the murder through the train, so maybe someone in the train could have seen the murder too.
A possibility, but no one did that we know of.
But it would take an awfully dumb man to take that chance, doing the murder as the train went by.
Exactly. A dumb man. A very stupid man. A man swept by emotion. Probably he heard nothing. He probably didn't hear the train coming by. And whoever did kill his father did it as best as they could.
So?
The kid is stupid enough to do everything to associate himself with the switchblade murder. And then a moment later, he becomes smart enough to make the kind of wound that would lead us to believe an amateur made it. And then a moment later, he becomes stupid enough to wait until an L train is going by. And then a moment after that, he becomes smart again to wipe the fingerprints away? To make this boy guilty, you have to say that he is dumb from 8 o'clock until about midnight. And then about midnight, for a couple seconds, he becomes smart. And then a couple seconds later, he becomes stupid. Then a couple seconds later after that, smart once more. And then he becomes so stupid, he is not even thinking of a good alibi. Now, is the kid smart or is the kid dumb? To say that this kid is guilty, you have to toss his intelligence like a pancake. There is doubt. Doubt, doubt, doubt.
I hadn't thought of that.
And the old man downstairs. On the stand, he swore that it was 15 seconds. He insisted on 15 seconds. But we all agree it must have been almost 40 seconds.
Does the old man lie half the time, and then does he tell the truth the other half of the time?
For the boy to be guilty, he must be stupid. Then smart, then stupid, then smart, and so on. And also, for the boy to be guilty, the old man downstairs must be a liar half of the time, and the other half of the time, he must tell the truth. You can reasonably doubt.
Look, I'm still in reasonable doubt.
I think I am too.
I want another vote.
All right, there's another vote called for. I guess the quickest way is a show of hands. All those voting not guilty, raise your hands. 9. All those voting guilty? 3. The vote is 9-3 in favor of acquittal.
I don't understand you people. How can you believe this boy is innocent? Look, you know how these people lie. I don't have to tell you that. They don't know what the truth is. And let me tell you, they don't need any real big reason to kill someone either. You know, they get drunk and bang. Somebody's lying in a gutter. Nobody's blaming them. That's just how they are. You know what I mean? Violent. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. Hey, where are you going? Look, these people are drinking and fighting all the time, and if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed. They don't care. Oh, sure, there are some good things about them, too. Look, I'm the first to say that. I've known a few who are pretty decent, but that's the exception. Most of them, well, it's like they have no feelings. They can do anything. What's going on here? I'm speaking my piece, and you listen to me. They're no good. There's not any one of them who's any good. You better take it from me. This boy on trial, well, don't you know about them? Listen to me. What are you doing? I'm trying to tell you something.
I've had enough. If you open your mouth one more time, I'm going to shut it for you.
I was only trying to tell you.
All right, everybody, sit down. I still believe the boy is guilty of murder. I'll tell you why. To me, the most damning evidence was given by the woman across the street who actually saw the murder committed.
That's right. As far as I'm concerned, that is the most important testimony.
All right, let's go over her testimony. What exactly did she say?
I believe I can recount it accurately. She went to bed that night at about 11 o'clock. Her bed was next to the open window. She tossed and turned for over an hour, unable to fall asleep. At about 12:10, she turned over and saw the boy stab his father. To me, this is unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That is the whole case.
Frankly, in view of this, I don't see how you can vote for acquittal. What do you think?
Well, maybe. There's so much evidence to sift.
What do you mean, maybe? She is absolutely right. You can throw out all the other evidence.
That was my feeling. I don't deny the validity of the points that he's made. Shall we say that on one side of the tracks there's doubt? But what can you say about the story of the woman? She saw it.
What time is it?
10 minutes of 6.
You're not supposed to let us go home and finish here in the morning. My little girl has the flu. Not a chance.
Can't you see the clock without your glasses?
Not clearly.
Oh,
Glasses are a nuisance, aren't they?
Well, what do you do when you wake up in the middle of the night and you want to know what time it is?
I put on my glasses and I look at the clock.
I just lie in bed and wait for my clock to chime. My father gave it to me when we were married, my husband and I. It was 10 years before we had a place to put it.
Do you wear your glasses to bed?
Of course not. No one wears glasses to bed.
The old woman who testified wears glasses. What about her?
Did she wear glasses?
Of course, the woman wore bifocals. I remember this quite clearly. They looked very strong.
That's right, bifocals. She never took them off.
Funny. I never thought of that.
I think it's logical to say that the old woman wasn't wearing glasses in bed. I don't really think she'd put them on just to casually glance out the window. Now, the old woman said that she saw the boy kill his father the moment she looked out. And a moment later, the lights went out. Now, maybe the old woman really did think she saw the boy kill his father. I say she only saw a blur.
How do you know what she saw? Maybe she's farsighted. How does he know all of these things?
Does anyone else here still think there's not a reasonable doubt?
I will always wonder, but there is reasonable doubt.
I think he's guilty.
Does anyone else?
No. I'm convinced now. There is a reasonable doubt.
You're alone.
The vote is 11 not guilty to 1 guilty.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. I have a right.
Yes, you have a right.
I think the boy's guilty. What else do you want?
Your arguments.
I gave you my arguments.
We're not convinced. We want to hear them some more. We have time.
What's wrong with you? You're the one who gave all the arguments. This boy is guilty. He has got to die. Stay with me.
I'm sorry. I'm convinced. I don't think I'm wrong very often, but I guess I was this once. There's a reasonable doubt in my mind.
We're waiting.
You're not going to intimidate me. I have a right. The boy is guilty. I will hang this jury. Stupid kids, they tear your heart out and they stab you in the back. That's it.
There's nothing we can do except hope that maybe one night, you might get some sleep.
You're all alone.
It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone.
If it is a hung jury, there'll be another trial, and some of us will point these things out to the various lawyers.
All right.
They're waiting. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
So, can Mr. and Mrs. Sabota please come to the stage?
I just want to thank you guys for everything you did this year. Without you guys, we wouldn't have been able to be up here right now doing this, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Big round of applause for these folks. You saw the crew come out here. I made one kind of mistake with the program. It looks so beautiful, except I forgot to put the page in with the crew. So I didn't care that we were in there, but come on back out here. These are four of my sixth graders, and they are in training their second show. They are coming up here to be doing stuff. We've got Katie Nelson, we've got Dimitri Gonatis, did I say it right? Yes. Thank you. We've got Chloe Harden, and we've got Maddie Shoemaker. They are going to be with us for hopefully next week. There he is right there. Kate Pratt was in the drama program for many, many years and came back this year after graduated last year and was a student assistant and gave these folks really great tips because this was a big challenge. When we started the year, we didn't know if we were going to be able to do anything. And so for the middle, they basically told us we could do a straight show. And I hadn't done a straight show since our second show, which was a bad one. So we've done musicals up until then. So we did a really cool show called Murder Mystery at the Murder Mystery at the Middle School. And I've been wanting to do 12 Angry Men for a long time. And we just never got a chance. And so we brought it out. And we thought we'd see how it goes. And we kind of all fell in love with it, I think. It was one kind of show that, like, after I've seen it several hundred times, I don't want to see it again. But we were watching it last night, the performance they did yesterday. It was still good. These folks did such an incredible job. It's one thing to learn some lines, a few songs, and a couple dances. And when you're on stage for almost an hour and a half, and you never leave, you have to memorize. I honestly don't know how they did it, because I'm terrible at memorizing lines, so I direct. But they did, and they worked extremely hard through all the craziness that we had this year, and I think we put together an amazing show. So it's a little bittersweet. I know a lot of us are tired, but they came diligently to rehearsal through everything and put some real effort into some really tough things. So I'd like to thank them, and I'd like to thank you folks for coming out and once again supporting us. We'll be back again next year, probably doing musicals. As I see a lot of these people will probably, hopefully, be back again with even more, and we can keep doing it. And as every year, we'll see you next week.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. Not till we go back in, like after.
I thought he said.
Oh, okay. No. I mean, idea, but they don't know what they're getting.